Hey, everybody, welcome back to You Can Homeschool. I'm Pat Fenner with Breakthrough Homeschooling, and I have the privilege and honor of interviewing a relatively young person who, who has lots of information that's going to be helpful for you if you have upcoming, like, I don't know, middle school, definitely high schoolers who are kind of trying to navigate where where they want to go in the for the rest of their life, and just looking at the big picture of what kind of career, what kind of job focus they want to embark on. And this is Tamara Raymond, and I found her. She, for those of you who are watching, she's written a book, Careering: Pocket Guide to Exploring Your Future Career. It is a pocket guide. It's a small book, and I was surprised when I got it, how small it is, but you can write in it and everything. And it is really wonderful for having those on the go questions and conversations with your team. Tamara's got a bio that you would not believe at the tender age that she is at, which I won't reveal, but she's a younger person. She is also the founder and owner of Innovative Management Consulting, which she started in 2006. Now, bear in mind, she was a 2002 graduate of Lawrence University, so she was pretty young. And this is what she does. She helps people find their passions and get started on a fulfilling career. So, Tamara, I will shut up and give you a minute or a moment to introduce yourself to our listeners and just tell us a little bit about what got you to this point that you're at here today.
Sure. Thank you, Pat. And thanks for having me. My journey was just that, actually, a journey of exploration and being open to trying new things.
Mm-hmm.
I would say I did not plan on starting a company, especially not one, at the age I did, but things worked out really well. Having a background in psychology and management and that human resources,
Mm-hmm.
creating internship programs and things like that from the inside of organizations, and struggling with my own, what am I going to do with my life? What should I do with a psychology degree? And, what area of psychology should I focus on? What does that look like? And, practicing what I preach, exploring, trying things, so it went from being a human resources generalist to, finding areas that within that field that I really liked, and then hooked into leadership development, which is helping people really grow and develop not only where they are, but for where they want to be. And that's been absolutely fulfilling. It's my passion. It's led me to step out there and do things that I wouldn't normally do, like write that book. So it's been really, really just a wonderful opportunity that I've been blessed to have.
And I like that comment that you just made, developing leadership, but helping people know where they want to be as well. I think that's kind of the crux of leadership, that it's not necessarily you want to do or say or be whatever's popular and then pull people along. I really think, especially just our culture and our society where we are right now, we need out of the box thinkers. We need people who are willing to be brave and courageous and step out. And that in itself is attractive. Do you find that?
Absolutely. I completely agree. I don't see leadership as a title.
Mm-hmm.
I see it as a way of being, there are leaders in high school, I see stay-at-home moms as leaders,
Mm-hmm.
as well as those CEOs. It's not just the title that you have, it's
Mm-hmm.
who you be and the role that you take on and the difference that you make.
Ooh, the difference that you make. I love, love, love that. Definitely. That's a quotable. Yeah, I think sometimes related to that comment too, I think sometimes people who have the title uh,
Mhm.
don't step into that.
Yep.
I don't know, just saying. But anyway, so
Well,
tell
that's
us,
why I have a job.
yes, that's why you have a job. Okay. All right. Well, moving on. So tell me, now we were talking earlier and you said like about writing the book was not something we've discovered that we're both introverts. So there's that
Mhm.
immediate bond there. But you shared that you hadn't intended to write a book. So kind of how did
Yep.
that come about?
Well, that came about from my own personal experience, growing up, trying to figure out, okay, what do I do? What does this look like?
Mm.
Because I didn't have anybody with similar interests in my sphere of influence, in my direct family or teachers, that type of thing.
Mhm.
And, the experience through high school, through college, and then in my professional life, there are questions that I saw that kept coming up working with interns and young people who are trying to discover what it is they want to do next. Some of them who, with one particular program, they said, oh, wow, we didn't know this type of engineering even existed. Right. And working with people who've been in the work world for, 20 to 40 years. Oh, I hear the questions, oh, if only I had known, or I wish
Mm.
someone had told me, which frankly surprised me in the beginning.
Yeah.
And, hearing those things, it's like, okay, well, how can I make a difference?
Mhm.
What can my contribution be?
Mhm.
And, how can I have that reach as many people as possible?
Right.
And that's how the book came to be.
Well, what I love about that book too, I love the behavioral questions that you ask, questions about the company, like when a student is doing an interview, that
Mhm.
it's not only about you, you're interviewing the company too, and I really love that. But one of the things I like about your book is homeschool parents are often, uh, just by virtue of necessity, their child's or their teens guidance counselor as well. And now,
Yes.
not all high schools, which I learned fairly recently, not all high schools have college guidance counselors or college and career
Yes.
guidance counselors, but we have the both the privilege and the responsibility as home educators of helping our kids out with that. But that can feel very intimidating, especially in some situations. A homeschool mom has not even gone to college. I mean, depending on what the laws are, you don't need to necessarily have to have a college degree.
Mhm.
So it can seem very intimidating to a homeschool mom. And what I love is that you make the questions and the steps in this book very doable. They're very conversational. They're nothing. It's not rocket science, which is true, but it
Yeah.
but it does require some self-reflection and some thought and some intentional time spent in exploring yourself and your interests and your gifts and how you want to focus that. And it really helps. I think it helps homeschool moms do that. So that's what I love about it. You use a term in there, and it's the title of the book, careering. But tell us, I know what you're going to say, but tell our listeners, how do you define careering? Because I love that.
So careering is it's about taking action. So taking the steps, forwarding through action, the pursuit of a career or that professional goal, because it could look like, entrepreneurship. It could
Mhm.
look completely different. I thought it should, right? But
Right.
it's taking the action, taking the steps to pursue that career. And hopefully having fun along the way.
Mhm. Oh, well, we're
That's
all
all.
about that. Tracy's book is called The Happy Homeschooler, so she likes to have fun. So you're you're with the right audience. Well, I love that too because, I have a rising senior right now, and she's the youngest in our family. All her older siblings are kind of getting settled, and I think she spent so many years interacting with them, kind of on a peer level, that I think she
Mhm.
feels a little like I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I don't have myself straightened out or whatever. And you don't need to, but I love the questions in your book because they're just open-ended ways to take the next step to make progress, like you're talking about it. Careering isn't deciding on the one thing next week. It's a process and it can
Yes,
change over time.
absolutely. It is a journey.
Mhm.
And I'm fortunate that it is. Otherwise, I wouldn't be where I am today. So it's definitely that. And one of the benefits to the process is that you incorporate it in your life. You have the structure as a homeschooling parent to, set up, reviews or exercises or things that you want to explore with your child, but it's also incorporating it in
Mhm.
everything that you do. So, you create some form of volunteer opportunity as part of your curriculum. That's the perfect time to reflect on, after you've completed your task, or, even before. Is there a particular area that you're interested in? Is there something that you want to help with? Right. And then afterwards, looking at, okay, what did you like about that? What didn't you like about that?
Right.
Is there a particular impact that you think you want to make? So it's asking those questions, but keeping it, incorporating it into your everyday life, as opposed to having yet one more thing
Yes.
on
Yes.
a very long list of things that you and your kids need to get done.
Right.
It's, if they, for example, you have them in on a soccer team, it's okay, great. So I'm in this group. We only talk about soccer as the kids, or as the parents, we talk about the things we need to get done as the soccer mom,
Mhm.
right? It may not occur to your teen, or, to you as the mom, to ask the people who are on the team or the fellow parents, hey, my kid is interested in this. Do you know anybody who's looking for someone to do that? Or, they'd love an internship. Just having those
Yes.
conversations, because we do tend to silo our lives, putting
Mhm.
things in categories, and they don't often cross each other. So
Mhm.
having the opportunity to incorporate that in, what you do, whether it's volunteering, schoolwork, the things you study, even, what
Right.
programming language do you want to learn? Oh, well, I'm interested in gaming. So can we do this language, as an
Mhm.
independent study? So it's incorporating it all.
That's right. And back to your soccer example too, not only is it important for parents, that's an opportunity for parents to look, discover opportunities for their kids, but uh, I can't tell you how many moms I've talked to who, when I encourage them to have their teen put together a resume, they're like, well, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't had any jobs. But you can look, suppose on that soccer team, they ended up being, a leader in the soccer team, and running practices or just anything, that's a skill that you can put on a resume. I mean, there's really, depending on the things they do, you can pull out the abilities and skills. It doesn't have to be employment for a teenager, when
Absolutely.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. And I mentioned that, it's babysitting, it's organizing a particular project.
Mhm.
Those are transferable skills.
Oh,
So you
absolutely.
talk about those projects and you put them on your resume. And yeah, as they continue to gain experience, you might be able to drop one or two of those earlier things off,
Right.
but that's what people are looking for.
Absolutely. And
As somebody who recruited for at least 3 years, straight recruiting, not in addition to doing it as part of a human resources function that might add a few more years on that.
mhm.
It's about having those skills that, we can use in other areas, and showing that you have the capacity to learn, the
Right.
capacity to try something new, because in many cases, whatever the task is, you can learn that.
Yeah.
I can train you to do that. It's, do you have the capacity for it?
Right. Right. And I think, there's a whole bunch of soft skills, that concept of soft skills that really aren't taught. They kind of develop
Mhm.
from experience that people are looking for, being able to lead a meeting, being able to
Yes.
interact with someone with a difficult situation. That's a skill. I mean, right now, people break up using texts. Ah, or DM, direct message, I don't want to see you anymore. I mean, that's crazy. But to be able to deal with in a business situation, a challenging topic or subject, that's a soft skill that develops from a whole bunch of different things that you could do, you know.
Absolutely. Or even things you might not think of, such as helping, the teen helping their parents manage their social media account, especially if it's for, a home business or what have you. There are
Mhm.
things that sometimes we don't think about that are huge assets for other people looking to employ someone.
Right, right. Yeah, because definitely managing it is a whole different thing than using it personally.
Yes.
And there even though I think the lines sometimes, at least from my perspective, it seems like the lines get blurred sometimes from people in this generation between business and personal. There are lines. There are things that you would definitely not put on a business social media page,
That is true. That is very true.
and that you probably
And,
shouldn't.
and probably shouldn't go sometimes on your personal page either. That's one of the things I mentioned. Now you can see in the news people who, are losing their jobs, from teachers, policemen to CEOs who have lost a job because of something they posted, a decade ago.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
really, there's
a rule of thumb, if you're in the heat of the moment upset about something, just sleep on it. Don't post it,
yeah,
because that's one of the things employers do too these days. It's probably equivalent to having references now,
yeah.
is doing a search to see, what shows up when they look for you on social media,
Yeah, you
getting
made
a
that.
full picture.
You make the suggestion in the book about having a LinkedIn profile. And it's really funny because LinkedIn seems to be, well, my impression of it, and even as a stodgy middle-aged woman, my impression of it was kind of, who's on LinkedIn, but you never know. And
Yes.
I have gotten some people reach out to me that, I mean, I have a LinkedIn account. I don't maintain it always very well, but even that, even though I don't maintain it very well, I still, get people reaching out. So if you have a teen who's interested in anything business oriented, you just, or has an idea of what they might like, even for internships, definitely I
Mhm.
like that idea about the LinkedIn profile.
Absolutely. It could just be having a presence.
Mhm.
So if there's an interest you have, people can connect to you. Or,
Right.
if you have a specific interest, you can do a search and reach out to people. And you might find people in your network who you had no idea had that particular role or experience.
And with LinkedIn too, you have that, second, third, fourth connection kind of thing. So
Mhm.
you don't know, they might have another friend who, or whatever connection. You just don't know. It's kind of amazing. Tell us about, you have both on your website, and I think you talked about it in the book, the Berkman Career Report for Youth, because that seems to me like that would be a good resource for a mom of a homeschool teen to use. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. So one of the tools I use, and the reason I use that one is because it's scientifically proven. And in addition to that, it doesn't put you in a box. It maintains the context that people are individuals, they have strengths and lots to contribute. And so, yeah, it gives suggestions. So the team would complete a questionnaire, and you have to be a certain age. I think it's 16
Mhm.
for this one. And it gives a report or suggests careers that you are similar to. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be anything else, right? And nothing can say that. It's just traditionally, your preferences are similar to people in these particular fields.
Mhm.
So it gives you a place to start.
Yeah, which is really helpful because sometimes that's what our teens, we tell our children and our teens as they grow, you can be anything you want in life. And well, I don't know if that's helpful sometimes, because
Mhm.
that's a lot, you know, and it doesn't really help focus things a little bit. And the other thing is, like, that's really not true. Like, there is no way that I would be ever a rocket scientist or work for NASA or do anything that's like that math, science, geeky kind of stuff, because that's not me at all. And that's
So,
okay. I'm okay with that. I think it's just as
yes.
important to know what you can't do, what you're not, wired for in whatever way, as well as what possibilities you have. So that's what I like. It doesn't necessarily, like you said, it pointed out, it doesn't necessarily give you, this is what you need to do, but it gives you
Yes.
some options.
Absolutely. And, I'm one of those people. Actually, the first time I did my Berkman, My mentor and friend was the person who did the review. I remember her looking at me, looking at the report, looking at me, looking at the report, and she goes, "You have to hire somebody to screw in your light bulb." And I was like, finally, someone who gets me. Yes, thank you. You know? So, I mean, can I, if, push come to shove, do things that are mechanical in nature? Yes, but chances are I'm so not interested. It'll take me longer. And yeah, I change my car tire? Probably, but I have AAA.
Well, there's always that time and money,
Yes,
balance there. No,
yes.
I got AAA too. I used
Some
to
things
have,
are worth it. It's like, if I break down on the side of the road, I'm not going to be the one who's going to be able to open the hood and tell you what is what. And I have friends who are, and that's fabulous.
right.
But it's something I don't particularly want to learn either. So
Exactly. Like there are some things that I've been known to YouTube to do some household repairs that are
yeah,
pretty easy, it turns out to be anyway. And my husband works out of town during the week, so there's some things I can't always wait till the weekend, to get.
yep.
But yeah, but I know my limits. I know. Definitely. So if you had to do it all over again, starting out thinking about all the things that you've
Mhm.
your path, your journey, what is there anything you would change?
Honestly, the thing that I would change is the experience of the anxiety that goes along with some of this. So starting out, having the huge anxiety around the unknown, or I should have it all figured out.
Mm,
Um, it seems as if I'm the only one who doesn't have it all figured out. you know, like,
well,
that's it's so not the truth, right? But we're not talking about reality. We're talking about, that perception and the things that
right.
lead to that anxiety, especially for a young person
Mhm.
who's just starting out. And I think that what I would say to myself back then is, it's okay. You're
Mm,
not alone. There's a lot of people where you are right now, and whatever stage you are, it's okay. I think that would have made the world of difference.
mhm. I have to say too, from my experience with homeschool families, that's very relevant to homeschool teens, because many of us, because we're not boxed into a classroom for 6 hours a day or whatever, and we're allowed to develop interests and skills and be out of the box and creative with what we do and how we study. I think that a lot of homeschool teens do develop, um, whether it's an entrepreneurial bent or just know what they want to study and they run with it. And so,
Mhm.
but we're still human, and so there's still teens who don't know, even though they're home and have opportunities to study and discover and explore their interests, they may not know. And that can be really kind of stressful, being around people who seem to have their act together
Mhm.
and know what they want to do, and be one of those who's like, well, I don't know, I've got a lot of interests and I've got a lot of skills and abilities, and I don't know how to hone it down.
Yes.
So that, yeah, that can be pretty
That's
stressful.
absolutely. And then there are those who, oh, I'm interested in, I had one particular student who's like, oh, I'm interested in both physics and chemistry. What would that look like? Can I combine the two? Or someone else who was, oh, I'm interested in, engineering, but I have no idea. I know I have that, mathematical sort of technical bent. What would that even look like? So there's also those who have a general idea
Hmm.
or a field, but then it helps them take a look at, okay, well, what areas do I want to explore
Hmm.
within that field? What's required? Are there particular degrees you need, or certifications? Because for what you want to do, it could be that instead of going to a 4-year college, there is some form of trade school that would fit that particular profession.
Hmm.
Right? So it helps direct you to doing some research, exploring, seeing what it is you want to do, and hopefully help you not waste, like
Yeah.
some of us did, extra years trying to figure it out. If you save, like 5 days, I think it's worth it.
That's right. That's right. Well, especially you also bring up an interesting point, especially with the cost of schooling these days.
Yes.
It's just, when I was coming up, you pretty much, it was just a given you go to college. You just
Mhm.
did. And I was fortunate enough that I was able to be between loans and scholarships, I was able to cover my college expenses. I'm reading and hearing now about parents, adults who are facing retirement, who are taking out loans so that their kids could go to college. Ludicrous, crazy, absolutely crazy. And so I'm just wondering, have you, in your experience, because you counsel and coach people, have you had experiences where you've talked to a teen, or they've had done the assessment and you're like, no, you don't really need college for what you're interested in? Has that come up for you?
Well, actually, it's come up for them. So
Oh,
we work together, and there's this particular teen who, they had that, interest in doing the thing I don't particularly want to do. I wanted to be a mechanic, and that was great. So then, he was able to look at trade school and also take business classes. So, he's looking at owning his own business around that. So it looks a
mhm.
little different than, hey, let me go to a liberal arts college. Because even when you're going to college, if you want to go be an engineer, then a liberal arts college would probably not be the right fit for you,
Right,
right?
right.
That's an extra year or two, finding an additional focus that, you could probably skip.
Hmm.
So, and as someone who's been to a liberal arts college, I absolutely love them, but it's finding the fit for you.
Right.
And depending on your interest, now that might be, the right fit. So it's about helping you find that direction that
Hmm.
can, hopefully save you that extra year or two, because I've had students who, I've come across who spent an extra 2 years in college, and it's really expensive,
It is. Yeah.
because they decided to completely change their major, in the middle of college. And whereas that's fine, if you can start a little earlier and save yourself some money, I'm
Mhm.
all for it.
Plus, there's the people, the a friend of mine, she used to let her daughter love to bake, and she said, oh, she wants to have her own business, and that's great. I definitely, that's would encourage people. But just because, and I'll just use that example, just because you can bake doesn't mean you can own a bakery. Those are
Yes.
two totally different animals. And the thing is, if you go to college sometimes to pursue a interest or develop a skill, it doesn't necessarily teach you, actually often doesn't teach you how to run your own business. Even if
Right.
you're taking business courses, I mean, that's a very specific kind of thing.
It
And
is.
and so, like, like you're pointing out, in that case, certainly going to college isn't going to help, for that situation.
Absolutely. And
Hmm.
so that's one of the reasons why I mentioned, looking at entrepreneurship programs. There is lots of them out there. And then finding the programs, you're going to have to do the homework to find the program that works for you.
Hmm.
Because some of them, are paid, some are unpaid, whether it's an internship or otherwise. For some internships, especially in the sciences, you can actually apply for scholarships.
Hmm.
So then they give you the money or pay you, and then the lab doesn't have to find the money in their budget. So say there's somewhere that you really want to get experience from or work with, and they're like, okay, well, I'm sorry, it's not in our budget. Then
Hmm.
you can say, well, actually, I'll work for you for free.
That's right.
you know, I already got this scholarship, so
Yeah.
we're good to go. So
And
then
then
that opens opportunities. So sometimes it's about being creative.
definitely, that was, just want to let that settle there for a moment. And we have, as homeschoolers, the ability to do that, to be creative, to think outside the box. I think you use that phrase too in your book. Think outside the box, be creative, be depending. Once you know what your teens or your attitudes, I mean, skills and abilities are and interests, craft your own way. You know.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. All right. Well, one more question. You you are a career coach. I mean, right? That's what IMC does, right? You career.
Mhm.
I mean, you coach both people in careers. I took a look at it and students. Um,
Absolutely. So definitely leadership development, usually for people who are in their profession, who want to continue to grow and develop,
mhm.
either where they are or advance. And for young people who are just starting out.
Yeah. Do you what do you think for you personally, what do you think differentiates your work with those two groups? It's an interesting.
That's an excellent question. I think the difference is, and young people, particularly teens, tend to be a little bit more open
Mm.
about exploring different things. And which, speaks to where they are in life, right?
Well.
So there's that, but then there are a lot of similarities too.
Mhm.
So there might be some anxiety, that same anxiety around,
Yeah.
um, you know, wanting to do it all yourself, so in a young person, it might look like, oh, I should have had it all figured out.
Mhm.
And for those in the world of work, especially those that are managing teams or in some cases companies, it's, having a hard time letting go
Yeah.
of some of those tasks so they can actually lead, right?
Mm.
So um, either where, no matter where you are, there's opportunity for growth and development, is what I've learned. I've learned that myself personally, and I've definitely seen it. But there are some things that translate
Mhm.
for both young people and for those who've been working for a very long time.
Mhm.
And the difference being, for those who have, extensive professional experience, it's, getting to that place where they might be open to, exploring
Mm.
and being coachable.
Right.
Whereas for teens, a lot of them, by the time they, start using the book or taking the course, are in that place.
Right, right. Yeah, I would imagine too for adults, there's that additional pressure of, well, you mentioned this earlier with teens, but I could see this with adults too, thinking I should know this by now. Like,
Yes.
I'm in, say, my 40s or 50s, and I should know how to do this. And there's so probably takes a little bit of humility to be able to say,
Yes.
oh, okay, well, this isn't quite working. I need to work with a coach and move on. But for a teen, it's almost like I don't know, opening a window to whole new possibilities. That's kind of cool.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Well, tomorrow for those of you who are listening, I am going to be, I'll have links in the show notes for tomorrow's website. Definitely for her book. You can pick that up as well, and ways you can reach out to her tomorrow. You can give me your socials and everything, and I'll put them in the show notes so people can
Absolutely.
get in touch with you. And I just wanted to thank you. This has been a really interesting conversation. I want to really encourage you to pick up your own copy of Careering and see if there's a way to that you can get involved a little more with Tamara if you're in need of that for your teen, for your high schooler. And again, thank you for your time, Tamara. And I hope that you have gleaned something out of this for your own homeschooling. And let me just leave you with this last word that we do every week. Remember, folks, you can homeschool and it can be awesome. We'll see you next week. Take care.